Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday night coin and silver questionnaire night with Raven, Rob finds treasure, and the man himself, Silver Seeker.
What's up, guys?
What's going on, my gentlemen? How you doing tonight?
I barely made it back. I literally realized we were just BSing, and I was like, I don't have my bandana on. And I was like, I'm not doing this 2 streams in a row where I'm late. So I was like, I had to hurry. So I'm a little out of breath. So now it's Seeker's turn to talk.
I'm not out of breath. In fact, I'm in a good mood because today's the first day in 3 weeks I haven't had a sore throat. I swallowed. I'll tell you the truth. I probably should have went and saw my doctor about it, but I knew it would eventually heal. But a couple of weeks ago, I swallowed a chip and it went down sideways, and it wasn't all the way chewed, and I could feel it slicing into my throat on the way down. It was great.
Yikes!
So I dealt with 3 weeks of sore throat. Today I got up and I ate, and there was no pain whatsoever. I'm like, finally.
Dude, that's horrible, man.
It was bad. It hurt.
At least it wasn't a Pocky chip, though.
Yeah. Oh man, I just rushed to the hospital.
We see Seekers trying to grow a beard there partially. Let's hope it gets past a quarter inch.
It is possible. I haven't shaved in 3 days.
I can't tell. It's not enough to really make a determination yet.
It's not bad for 3 days. It's not bad. I need to get. You can see the white. Look, like I'm getting old. There's white there. That's scary.
Mount Stackmore.
All right. What's up?
We got a lot of people in the house. Tall Paul, Silver Bear, Josh Schultz, Chris Nab, Rob finds treasure, Doug Wagner, Gunny's Quarterdeck, Resin Dragon, S Free 1979, Ty Hitman, Maria Loves Silver, R Lorenzo, Trump 2020, Frogman 75, Insane in the Membrane, Mr. Rich Fontaine, Samuel Phillips 2.0, Tiberius Hitman is here as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get this party started. And our first question of the night is from the one and only Gunny's Quarterdeck. Rob finds treasure. Do you think the 2022 half dollars will be not intended for circulation?
I mean, I think in 18 when they did a whole bunch of millions worth and they didn't say they were, and then because in 2021 they did a bunch more and said they were not as far as an NIFC, I would think that would now start the process of them making them no longer an NIFC. That being said, they still had a lot of collectors purchase 2021 NIFC half dollars. So I don't know if they'll look at that to see how it affects business and say, hey, we'll call them NIFCs for now, but if demand's up, then we'll say they're not later like they did in 21. It's a tough call. I would say the door's open for now on to say they're not, but they have to gauge what they're going to sell the ones the collectors for to make a proper business decision.
I will tell you this: the mintage for 2022 half dollars is 3.2 million, and usually they mint all those right away. So usually by end February, mid March, you won't see that number change again. So you can compare that to last year's 13 million, and that's a pretty good sign for them actually being NIFC. But we'll see. Like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's possible. You never know. Again, it depends on if demand starts flying up. Maybe they print. Maybe they mint another 3 to 6 or 7 million and then say, oh, yeah, they're not. But Seeker's right. Whatever they've minted through February is pretty much what it's going to be. But you never know.
Right. True. You never know. A big shout out to S Free for the $10 super chat. Says, sorry, missed the live train on the live. You're amazing, Ravenhawk. Keep doing what you do. Thank you, my friend. And then we got a new member. Tall Paul became a YouTube member. Thank you.
What's up?
Joining up, Tall Paul. We appreciate you.
Tall Paul does a little barbecuing as well.
Yes, he does. I need to check out his barbecue channel. That is for sure, because he said something about it the other night. Seems like a really nice guy, actually.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Let me see if I got some other questions in here real quick. If you guys saw something that I didn't, let me know. Let's see here. Trying to get a room at Grove, but they're either sold out or don't get good reviews.
Oh man, I was worried that was going to be an issue. I hate to say this, but you might have to go a little bit outside of town as it gets closer. I mean, last year all the good stuff sold out already, and this year it's going to be even more people than last year.
And I will say, for the love of everything, do not settle for the outrigger. Do not settle for the outrigger unless you bring bed bug spray and fly swatters. That's the only way you're going to survive that place.
Man, hey, I mean, you survived it. You didn't bring those.
Listen, Seeker, I told you, and I told you once, I'll tell you again. I can sleep in those kind of places, no problem. But if you're with somebody who doesn't like those kind of places, the whole night is destroyed by the constant reminder that we're there.
Right.
And, I read the reviews on that place, and it was quite fascinating for, if you want a good read. The one guy said, I think the maid's a drug dealer, and the owner doesn't remember anything.
Anything left on your pillow? A mint? No, we don't have those. Do you need anything else wrapped in green?
BDS 101 says, look at Joplin, Missouri. I mean, it is a little bit of a drive from Grove, but at least you're, within 30, 40 minutes of the show, especially if you're only going to be there for like a day or two. It might just be worth it. Make a little bit extra of a drive to get a nice place. Like Rob said, don't stay at the Outrigger. I know there's a casino that has a hotel somewhere around there as well. That's not as far as Joplin, but yeah, Joplin would probably be the closest place. And you're going to have a lot of nice hotels out there. And
don't forget, a lot of people get stuck into hotels and motels. Don't forget that somebody may have property that has bed and breakfast spots. A lot of times we forget about booking a bed and breakfast, and for almost the same price and sometimes better or slightly more, but with different service, you might want to stay at a bed and breakfast, or like Raven staying at some camping grounds. So
it's actually a cabin.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, right on the lake, and I'm gonna get some fishing in. Ooh, maybe do a little bit of barbecuing. So S Free wants to know if we have any future plans on a nickel battle. We've talked about it before, and I'm down for it at some point. What do you gentlemen think?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it here every once in a while. Probably going to be hard to make it a recurring thing like we used to do, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to do one every once in a while, especially soon.
And even if we substituted a Monday chat, if we ever did, and just substituted one round of nickel battles, we could. But I got to do a shameless plug. I do have a pretty epic nickel video coming out in the next few days for sure.
Did you finally get a 50D?
50D.
There's no coin spoilers on these coin chats, but I will tell you, I did find a key date, and it did have a Denver mint mark. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
There you go.
That's fine.
Slow Thorpe 76. Is trading silver for gold a good idea? What are the pros and cons? Let me start with Seeker on this one.
I mean, sure, if you get it at the right price, or at the right trade, I guess I should say. If you find someone that's willing to trade you straight up spot for spot, yeah, why not? But you want to look at the ratio. You don't want to buy it when the ratio is too far apart, because silver will eventually come back into play. Remember when, wasn't it, it wasn't that long ago that it was over 100, like 100 to 1, wasn't it? Like a couple of years ago. Was maybe not even that long.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Right.
What's your thoughts, Rob?
No, it's very similar. I mean, whatever the gold to silver ratio is at the time, if you feel that the gold to silver ratio will somewhat change and you can get a good deal on what your trade ratio is, I would do it. Would I trade all of my gold for silver or vice versa? No, I want to keep it diversified. So, I mean, keeping those things in mind is always smart. But yeah, if the gold to silver ratio is favorable for you and the trade is favorable, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
right.
Very well said. And also, like you said, diversification is key, because God forbid something happen, you're going to want to have yourself a little stack of, constitutional silver, because that's going to be more easily traded for goods and services. All right, guys. Next one up, BMax17 says, hey, guys, what's your opinion on having to pay sales tax on gold and silver?
I think it shouldn't be a thing. Fortunately, I live in a state where it's not a thing, but the majority of states don't, but there's a large minority, if you will. I think it's like 15, 16 states that have some sort of tax in some way, depending on what it is. But I don't think it should be taxed anywhere. There's been a lot of states that have been abolishing it lately. Arkansas just joined that. There was another one, I forget what state, that just had it abolished. I forget where it was.
I know in California, if you spent $1,500 or more, it was no tax.
Which is crazy to me. Like, why does it have to be $1,500 to consider it, non-taxable? It doesn't.
To me, that's kind of one of those laws made to favor the rich.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like it's like, oh, I can only afford 20 ounces of silver, 5 ounces of silver. I guess since I can't afford this much, I'll give the government some money as well. But if I had enough money, I don't have to give the government some of the money. It's like, I don't know, just it's silly to me. But no, I don't think there should be sales tax. I also don't think there should be capital gains tax on gold and silver, but there is. So
yeah, there's actually 8 states currently that have a sales tax if your order is below 1,000. Well, 15 if we include California, 1,500, but the other 7 are below 1,000. Right. So that's crazy that they actually tax you on a small order. Yeah, but Seeker's right. The majority of the states have none. But it's crazy to think that certain states go from 4% all the way north of 7 to 7.5%, and then of course a lot of states with 0. Isn't that nuts?
It is.
Yeah. And BMAX said here in Kentucky they abolished it. Good for Kentucky. It needs to happen in all 50 states. 100%. Robin Seeker, you missed. I heard about that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump on you right now. Go ahead. So Charlie said, Robin Seeker, you missed it. Saturday the stream had Raven in tears. Now I saw that happen like 3 weeks ago for Raven, and it happened again. I wish I would have saw it, but I was out of town, which is why Raven was streaming on Saturday. Raven and I switched. Raven, again, thank you so much for doing that. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, man. No problem at all.
My son was in a.
Was it tears from Vines or tears from generosity from the viewers?
Super chats.
Super chat generosity plus the amount of comments that were just, we love you, what you're doing, and who you are don't change. Awesome. It's one of those things that really hit me like pretty hard. You guys know me. I'm a big softie. I
imagine if someone like I don't know how good other guys, but I imagine if I did, you'd feel like a big teddy bear.
Well, I've heard Seeker before, and let me tell you, he does feel like, I think more like the Pillsbury Doughboy, but not.
Oh yeah, for sure. You talk about me? Oh yeah.
Seeker, I'm just kidding, but yeah.
Oh hey, I have no weird conception in my head that I'm not overweight. I'm well aware that I am. I need to fix it. So you can't hurt my feelings there.
All right, so springboarding on the last question about trading, what, in your opinion, would you consider to be a good trade ratio, Mr. Rob Fine's Treasure?
Let's go with Seeker first. This is more up his alley.
There we go.
I think a 60-1 is around where gold and silver should be right now. I think it's 80 though right now, which means that, you got to remember, if you're looking at gold and silver, it means either silver's going to go up or gold's going to go down. If you really do think it's going to get back to 60-1, then one of those two things has to happen, and in both cases, it's better to hold silver. That makes if you think it's going to happen. Again, like if you think it's going to go the other way, it's really hard to tell you, because then you have to really predict the future, and no one can really do that. I don't care what any of the analysts, the market analysts say; none of them actually know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I think 60-1 is a really good ratio to where you'd really want to be in gold, because at that point, I think you will start to see it creep back the other way again. 80-1 probably is where I'd want to be more silver. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's. I was going to say about 80, so we're a little bit different, but I was just thinking historically about 80 would be my cutoff. Once we got north of 80, maybe it changes for me, but 60 would be fantastic, of course.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I'm right there with you. So Rich Fontaine says, does anyone else try to collect U.S. classic silver commemoratives? There are a ton of them that I just can't seem to find anywhere. They never pop up at any LCS or even on most major online dealers. And that's simply because a lot of them, that especially the really old ones, have very low minages. The surviving population is probably pretty minimal, but that's been my experience. I've been lucky. Like I found one from Maine the other day, a centennial commemorative that I'd never seen before. So of course I snagged it up, for an auction. What do you think, guys? Let's Rob, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I definitely collect the classic commemoratives. I recently picked up a 1928 Illinois with Lincoln on it. That was one of the ones I was trying to get for a while. But Ravenhawk's right. There's some tough. Did I say 28? I mean 1918. There's some tough, very tough years to get, and LCSs aren't going to have them very often. If they do, they're pretty beat up. So what I like to do is write down the ones that are on my hit list, maybe the top 5 or 6 that I really want to get. And then when I go to a coin show, I'm searching for those, because a coin show with that many dealers tables open, chances are you're probably going to run into a lot of them being slabbed and graded if they're in the containers or in the display cases. But even if they are, you can always sit there. If you see someone that has a handful of them, like 10 or 20 of them that you already don't need, or they're too out of your price range because of their mintage / their grade, you can ask if they have any ones that are raw that they're willing to part with and see what they got. But yeah, I would love to own them all, but like Raven said, some of these things are so low minted. I mean, the Missouri Centennial 9400 originally minted in 1921. Imagine how many are now around today that are not already in people's collections or in a typeset. So
right,
or that got melted down, for that matter. People get desperate. They do things to coins all the time. Seeker, what are your thoughts, my friend?
I love classic commems, but they're, like you said, survival rates are the biggest issue. I mean, 10,000 mintage really isn't that bad, but if you consider how many probably are still around
100 years later.
Right. Yeah. And you can actually look at estimated survival rates on PCGS. But actually what I was looking at while you were talking, it's going to be really hard to see, but I was at a coin show a while back, and this guy had this binder full of slabbed classic commems. He let me take pictures of all the rows.
Oh, wow.
And look at the grades. Blow this up, Raven. Look at the grades on some of this.
How do I do that?
Just solo me. Oh,
wait, like this?
Yeah, but you do me, not you.
Wait a second. Oh, here. Hold on. There we go.
There we go.
Boom.
Look at these.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy had tons of them.
And see, that's what I was saying. You go to a coin show and a lot of them are slabbed already and they're out of your range, or you'll get crazy trying to buy them.
Look at the tone on that Isabella.
That's just awesome.
Look at the big bridge MS66. Jeez.
Right. Again, this was a guy at a coin show, and he had him with him. And, I asked him if I could take photos. I was going to do a video, and I forgot to do it. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I will. You can, get us back on there.
At one of the coin shops I visit, he's got a Texas commemorative from, I think it's early 1900s. It's slabbed and graded. And I was like, hey, so how much you want for this? And he's like, oh, $925. I was like,
Yeah, those 1934 through 38 Texas commemoratives can get through the roof.
Yeah, this thing's gorgeous. I mean, gorgeous coin. So Metal Dragon Braveheart says, does a coin become more valuable because it doesn't have an heir, when pretty much all the rest do have heirs, like the Crossing the Delaware and the Maya Angelou? Seeker, go ahead.
Actually, Rob's the go-to authority on heir, so I'm going to let him answer.
I mean, it depends on what you're considering an heir. I mean, if you're talking about the Crossing the Delaware having some die chips above his hat and stuff like that, yeah, that's fancy schmancy and all, but a lot of error and variety collectors might have one, but they're not going to pay astronomical rates for a little bit of die chips and stuff. So no, a coin does not become more valuable because it doesn't have an heir. What makes a coin more valuable that's not an heir is its grade. And obviously, even the Crossing the Delaware, some of the highest graded ones are only MS68. So if you can get a 6970, even on a clad new release quarter, you're going to be in top pop for a long time. And that's what you're trying to look for. But at the end of the day, no. I mean, those minor heirs, In God We Rust, things like the Minnesota Extra Tree, those are nice to collect and nice to have. And if you want to get the whole set, great. Die chips, they're all fun, but they're not going to have any kind of significant value unless they couple that with a high grade.
Right? Yeah, and it's called condition rarity, which I know Rob knows, but condition rarities are huge, like a lot more than, like he said, just random errors where there's some grease on the die, things like that. They're cool to have, but as you guys know, I don't even look for a lot of the stuff when I'm going through $50 that Rob looks for. So I definitely refer to Rob when it comes to errors.
Well, and last comment on that, a lot of people think that it's just about looking for errors. I mean, especially in the Jefferson nickel series, any nickel from like 1946S all the way to 1970 regular business strike nickels, there's about 20 of those 25 years that if you find a full steps nickel in high mint state grade, you're looking at a small fortune. And I'm not talking about $1,000. I'm talking if you found a 1967 Jefferson nickel with full steps, and even with full steps, you could buy a house with it. So a lot of people forget to check their high grade nickels when they're coin roll hunting for full steps on the back. And I would say focus on some of those things than die chips. But that's
And a lot of that, Rob, is because with those they reuse the dies, the reverse dies for multiple years, so those would wear down. Yeah.
They refuse to use the master die and master hub to make working dies. They just rework the working dies for several years. And it's crazy to think that some of those, you'll see it. If you look at PCGS's pop report, you'll see very few full steps graded high grade mint state examples. And then all of a sudden 1 year there's a lot. And then it starts trending down again. And then there's a lot. It's because they reuse the dies and they put a new die on and then it looked good. Then they put a new die on and it looked good. And that's what you got to look for sure.
Very true. So this one's come up a couple times. Is gold a buy or hold right now with the soaring prices? Seeker, you can tackle that, my friend.
Is gold? I'm sorry, I was reading comments on the right and I missed that one. Is gold a buy or a hold right now with the soaring prices? Well, I mean, I'm stacking. I've actually focused a little bit more on gold this year. Of course, I primarily go into silver. But I think both metals are fine. If you can afford to get gold, I would definitely diversify and have a little bit of both. But I mean, it's going to be different for everybody. If you don't have the money to get if you don't have the money to get like the lower premium, bigger pieces of gold, and you're paying high premiums on, like 10th ounce eagles, things like that, you might want to consider going, just sticking with silver. But I mean, if you can afford to buy like 1 ounce gold, like Cougarans and things like that with super low premiums right now, yeah, I mean, I think gold's a good thing to buy.
Yeah, and I don't know about soaring prices. I mean, it's been higher before historically. It's just that it's nice where it's at. It's not in the 1700s anymore, but it's not exactly. I don't know if it's soaring. And I'll be honest, Seeker hit it on the head. If I had the budget to buy more gold, I would, and I would buy it and always hold it. I'm not somebody who likes to part with the gold that I purchased because I believe. Well, I've always believed that's why I'm a stacker, but
it just always goes up eventually.
We're not at the end game, and I'm not at my end game. So I'm going to be buying and holding as long as I can, especially on the gold pieces.
Yeah, right. I agree. Well said, gentlemen. All right, next one. R. Lorenzo, who likes collecting Mexican and Central South American silver and gold coins? I love foreign silver and gold. It is always, in a lot of times, I shouldn't say always, but in a lot of times you're getting a really good return on your investment because some coin shops don't put much stock in them, which is kind of odd because the trend is really getting out there with like look at the jump in Libertads over the last year and a half. It's just nuts.
It's funny this question was brought up because the last one was about gold. What one of my favorite gold coins is? The Mexico 50 peso. It's like 1.2 ounces. It's just a cool design. It feels so good in your hand. I love it. Yeah, 50 pesos are cool. And they're dumb low premium. Like you can get those things for maybe a point or two over spot and that's it.
Yeah.
Like really, really good. I like those a lot.
What about you, Rob?
Well, it's also 1.2 ounces, so it's tough to stack. But listen, if I could ever put a whole tube together of those, that would feel amazing. Honestly, I'm a big fan for affordable gold, and I like U.S. old gold. I mean, I love my favorite gold because it has enough weight to feel good, and there's also some numismatic value. Is the $5 Liberties? I know Seeker and we've talked about this. He likes the Indians, and I like them too, but they're a little bit more thin, a little more circumference, a little bit bigger. I like the feel of the $5 gold Liberty. Always have. It's my favorite coin. It's what I have my most gold in volume in. So and it's affordable. I can pick it up fairly cheap half the time. Even if it's a clean coin, I don't care. It's still gold.
Yep. I've been trading 8 ounces of silver for 10th ounce. I mean, that's right at the ratio, so that's not bad.
Yeah, I was about to say that's about where you're going to be. This one here, has anyone had flips that contain PVC? How does it damage the coins? Well, with silver coins, it turns them green. And other coins, it does have an interaction. That's why it's not good to get the ones with the PVC in them. I've seen it mostly damage silver. What are you guys seeing it damage besides that?
You know what I love to do? I like to get early 1800s large cents and then keep them in PVC holders for 20 years. No, they PVC. I mean, I've seen really ugly toning from PVC flips on silver coins. I've never stored any actual good stuff in PVC, so I can't give you firsthand experience.
Yeah, I just get the Mylar ones because that's what's recommended. And again, if it's going to be a long-term storage anyway, I wouldn't have. let me say it differently. If I'm going to flip it up, it's likely not something that I care about it being a long-term storage for. And if I do, obviously it's not a highly valuable coin, and it's going to be in a Mylar flip.
Right. Tony McCumber, the George Washington commemorative is from 1982. It's a pretty common one. There's a lot of population. You can usually get those for about $12, $13, sometimes $15. Just depends on where silver's at. But you know what? If you don't have any in your collection, you might as well grab one or two. Get a proof and get a BU.
There was a while there before, the silver squeeze happened. There was a while there where those Washington commemoratives were cheaper than standard 90%.
Wow.
Yeah, you could literally buy them for like melt. And
you have to remember, there's, what is it? I'm looking at the book, over 2.2 million minted, and only 40 years ago. Surviving population is high, and most of them bought those straight from those little blue cases. If you remember the little blue cases with the Washington portrait on it. I mean, those things. I bought 2 full rolls of Denver's and San Francisco's, and I think I paid $12 per coin for those, which is a little heavy, but they were uncirculated, perfect examples. So
no, those were the beginning of modern commems. That was the first modern commem they did, and so they made a ton of them. So
that was first time they did 90% silver on a $50 of any type since 1964.
Right.
So in your opinion, we've gone over this one before, but, for anybody that hasn't been to the show or whatnot, we always tackle these questions. What's the best stack generic, constitutional, slab, bullion, or sterling? What do you guys think?
Where premiums are right now, out of everything that you just put there, generic for sure, like generic 1 ounce rounds. Constitutional premium. I just released a video on this today. The premiums on things like constitutional even are going up, which is really unfortunate.
And the key here is he says, "What's the best to stack?" Yes, the generic is the best to stack with all the premiums.
Yeah, 100%.
Go ahead, Seeker. I'm sorry.
No, go. I was just saying 100%.
I'm a new data guy, so I even though there is a premium on generic silver, sometimes, I know people that grab from a major online site like AppMex will buy several rolls or a whole bunch of rolls of Merc dimes, and they'll find a 1921 Merc dime. Well, the premium they just paid on the constitutional silver on 1921 just made it, pretty much vanished all of that premium, and now they've got one coin they can sell and pay back their premium. Now they stacked at not face value, but without a premium.
Right.
Yeah. And when we talk about constitutional, it still makes remember just not that long ago, I used to complain when I'd see constitutional at 13, 14 times face, and that goes to show you the proliferation of coin collecting and stacking on YouTube has gone pretty crazy. There's a ton of new channels. And of course, when that happens, you get a lot more interest and a lot more people buying things. And it's a thing about, simple economics, supply and demand is going to drive what things are valued at. That's just how the world works when you live in the society that we live in, capitalism at its finest.
I'm sorry. What'd you say? You had me dreaming at 14 times face. What?
Yeah. Let's see.
It's funny because you're right. I mean, I remember when it was going up as like 14, 15, we're like, oof, that's a little high. And now we're like, I'd probably cry tears of joy if someone offered me 90% at that price.
Yeah.
But, there is obviously, the key word there, like Rob had mentioned, was stack. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons that people buy silver stuff. I buy a bunch of different collectible coins like that. But when it comes to just like stacking bulk, like, if you're going to go out and drop, a bunch of money and you just want to get as much silver as possible, I think generics are the way to go.
Yeah. So Greg Kasky says, Ravenhawk, Rob, Seeker, what is your take on Canadian 80%? Would you all say it's better than unconstitutional because of the premiums on US 90%? I will say real quick, and I know Seeker's got something to say on this, but it's getting harder to get Canadian silver. In my local shops, they're actually just sending it in and melting it before you can even get it from them. But I love Canadian silver, and especially if you can get some of the older dollars and half dollars that are actually worth quite a bit more than what they're being sold for. So it's a really good investment if you get lucky and get, one of those rarer years.
Yeah, 100%. If you can find Canadian silver in a coin shop and they have it for like close to melt, because that's about what it goes for, it's good stuff. It's a good thing to pick up. Just keep in mind that with that stuff, the shop, the reason they're able to sell it to you at close to melt or even melt is because they buy it quite a bit back of that. And so if it's something you're going to turn around and resell, it's something you're going to need to sell on your own. You're not going to walk back into a coin shop without getting completely ripped apart for it, because what they pay for that stuff is really low, like somewhere in the 75 to 80%, maybe 85% if you're lucky, of spot. I also wanted to say before we moved on, I see a lot of people saying hi to Samson. Slammer Dog says hi back. They heard him barking earlier.
Yeah, on the 80%ers, it's really, in my opinion, a cherry picker's dream kind of thing. You want to find those good ones, and then you know that if you go back to that shop, you're not going to get what you think you're going to get for it. What do you think, Rob?
I mean, I like 80% silver. I like 92.5% silver. I like 63.5% silver. I like 40% silver. I like 10% Mexican peso silver. Listen, if I can find silver at a good deal, I'm gonna pick it up. But I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of silver. It amazes me how many LCSs, how many dealer tables have a token / foreign bin, or they'll say, hey, you get 10 for $2 or 20 for $3, whatever they have. And if you want to sit there for a few minutes, a lot of them don't love you just sitting there. But if you sit there for a few minutes and pull out all the things that look and sound like silver, it's a pretty fun hunt to come home with $6 spent and find out all of a sudden you have some Philippine silver that everyone missed, and you got it for pretty much a nickel or 6 cents, and it paid for the whole lot, and you got some cool foreigns to check on New Mista. So I enjoy cherry picking the foreign and token bins. You'll be surprised how many times you'll find a 30% silver coin or a 63.5% silver coin or a 10% Mexican silver peso sometimes. So I like going through those. And to answer the question, I have a almost complete Canadian nickel, dime, not the quarter. I'm missing a lot of the early ones collection. So I do like stacking Canadian silver for sure.
I was going to say, if you see like a big bin of that stuff, you can usually buy that stuff really cheap if you just take the whole box. Like just offer them like a bulk weight price, and a lot of the times, they're just happy to get rid of it. Especially
think about that.
Especially on the last day of a show, because they don't want to carry that heavy stuff back. they want to get rid of it.
I'm going to bring a box, and I am going to do that the last day of the show and just run up to all the tables and say, "What do you want for the whole box?"
Right.
And if you get really lucky, you feel like my pops and find some platinum from Russia.
Well, and you can find platinum in there. You never know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll find some really valuable old U.S. tax tokens, and you're like, holy cow, they had a $35 tax token in there in pretty nice shape.
Yeah, for 15, 20 cents.
Right.
It's unbelievable, but yeah, it does still happen, guys. Let's see here. Silver Swanner, Ravenhawk coins. What are y'all's top 3 commemoratives? I really like the Texas one. I like that main one that I found recently. And then the Lexington Concord is pretty cool too. You guys?
Well, I already said I like the Illinois 1918 because it has Lincoln on the front. I've always liked the Stone Mountain one. I just think it's a classic sculpted design. And to me, it's awesome. And I didn't think of a third one, so I'm kind of quickly looking unless Seeker has one in his mind.
Well, my favorite classic, what is that? My favorite classic commemorative is the Isabella quarter, for sure.
Oh, okay, I'm thinking $50. That's a beauty.
Yes,
yeah, that is a nice one.
Isabella quarter is gorgeous. I'm not a big fan of the Columbus $50, even though it made me cuss once.
When you found it in a box of halves.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm going to go with the Texas as well, Raven, because the eagle on the back and then the obverse design is so gorgeous. So I would have to say that Texas, the Stone Mountain, and the 1918 Illinois with Abe on there would be my top 3. But now that if we're going to quarters, the Isabella, that's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, excuse me for just 1 minute. I need to. Sure. There's some banging in my house. I need to find out what it is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So S-Car Guy says, why do only PCGS and NGC grading get love from collectors? Why not others like IGS? This is a simple one, an easy one, but Rob, go ahead, my friend.
I mean, it's all about resale and auction prices. At the end of the day, it's like, why does Nike do better than Keds?
Yeah.
It's a recognized name brand. They have they piss us off sometimes. NGC and PCGS will make you mad and drive you crazy, and have you ask a lot of questions about what's going on with quality control. But at the end of the day, pound for pound or coin for coin or slab for slab, they have the most strict guidelines, and they're the most consistent of all the major grading companies. So their resale values are up, and because their resale values are up, and because their slabs are pretty well in line with what you'd expect, people will A, pay them to grade them, and B, people will buy the slab and not the coin more often than they should. So that's the IGS. I mean, who uses them anymore? If you're going to go with the third one, go to ANAX. But I'm not picking on IGS, but that's like ICG and all that. I mean, those companies are not even really recognized. You're going to go with PCGS, NGC, or ANAX. If you want a good deal and you want to slab coins for less, and you want to be able to get lesser variety slab to have value, then honestly, ANAX is probably your best overall bang for buck. But if you have a rarity or a real gem that is going to fetch thousands of dollars, you got to go for PCGS or NGC first to give it a go.
You definitely got to go with the big dogs, because here's the thing. They will ding you just a little bit for some reason. You know, I found out ANAX actually came out before PCGS and NGC.
Yeah.
And they have the most respect when it comes to rare varieties and errors. You know, you can get more money for a variety and error, but like Rob said, for the top dollar, what you call a big boy, big girl coin, you want to go with PCGS, NGC, because you're talking Cadillac and, you know, Lincoln versus Honda. You know?
Well, and it depends on if I have an XF45 1935 Buffalo DDR FS801. It's a DDR and the 5 cents on the back. Any one of those companies will slab it. Because it's not extremely valuable, I might use an ANAX slab. But if I've got a 1969S DDO and I know it's in an MS red condition, it's going to be slabbed by PCGS or NGC no matter what, and likely PCGS because they're auction sales. Just how it goes.
Yep, that is very true. Let me see here. How does PCGS come up with their survival rate?
You know what?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I actually have my PCGS order up because I was going to see if it moved anywhere. I don't know if they have an actual, and I don't have time to do it on the site. That might be a future question, but I don't know how they come up with their survival rate. I guess it's maybe Seeker might know. How does PCGS actually come up with their survival rate? Is there a formula they use?
I assume that there is. It's obviously an estimate. There's no way to know what, you know, coins are sitting in old vaults or, you know, old collections from 100 years ago. But I think they probably do it based on how many they see come through graded, and then, you know, probably talking to dealers at shows or looking at the auctions, things like that. And then they just use a formula to come up with what they expect. But it specifically says on their website it's an estimate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just got to be some, like Cedar said, there's obviously got to be a formula based on some data, but it's probably one of those things that says give or take 10%. I mean, it's right. To be honest.
Right.
Yeah, because they're just taking a lucky guess. Here's to go back to one of the things that people said earlier about looking in the foreign coin area. Greg Kasky sent this to me, and he found this in the foreign group, a 1935 tax revenue token in the foreign coin box there, and got a really great deal for it. So I thought that'd be cool to just show. And
they're out there.
Yeah, yep. They are. They really are. Let's see here.
Holy cow. CoinDad said, hard to believe this, but a VHS copy of the Terminator graded at 9.5 out of 10 auctioned for $34,500. Isn't it crazy how these other these other grading companies are now grading box toys, box games, box DVDs, box, you name it. And if they get a high grade, people are $34,500 for a video that I have re-recorded on 6 different VHSs.
Do you, Carl Jobst did 2 videos actually on the video game, like market and how it's basically a scam. And he like did a whole lot of research, and it's a really good video, and you should watch it if you
What's the name of that grading company that he references without getting ourselves in trouble?
I'm trying to remember because I
know they're like the upstart, and there was another company, and then they left that to start this company. It's become the hottest company now to grade stuff.
Yeah, I tell you what, let me find the video and I'll post a link to it. So keep in mind, and you'd probably be like, I don't believe you. But true story, I've actually been following Car Jobs for a while because I'm kind of into video game speed running. Speed running is where you try and beat the game as fast as possible. And he does a lot of videos about that. So I was already subscribed to him, but sure enough, I was watching the video that he did on that, and one of my a clip from one of my videos was in it. And I thought it was awesome. I just thought that was cool.
Well, you got to post that link so they can see it.
Well, yeah, I'll post it. Actually, I have to find the timestamp. It was only one.
Metal Dragon Braveheart says you can just download it off the internet. Yeah, do they still have Napster? Just kidding.
Yeah.
You guys don't even remember Napster.
That always reminds me of those. Did you ever see those Camp Chaos cartoons, Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, those were the best. Beer good, Napster bad.
I know, so ridiculous.
All right, I just posted the video. It doesn't have the timestamp, but I'm like halfway through.
Charlie Aldridge says, if everyone refuses gold, what would happen to silver? The rich seem to hold a monopoly on gold. Who wants to tackle this?
I don't have enough research to give an educated answer.
That's kind of where I'm at.
If everyone refused gold, that's kind of like one of those old sayings, what if the whole world farted at once?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't have an answer for that. I have no idea.
Yeah, that one. Sorry, Charlie.
Sorry.
Literally, sorry, Charlie. Come on, Raven.
How do you identify an NIFC when you're CRH hunting? I'm a new stacker and trying to learn. You're moving so fast, I can't keep up. Can you explain to me what NIFC for is and any value? NIFC means not intended for circulation. You're looking at the 1970 Denver 40% silver, and then you're looking at 1987, and then from 2002 basically to 2020, except for like a couple exceptions, like 2018 is kind of high and whatnot. But most of those, that's the years that you're looking for. And depending on what year it is, NIFC can have a little bit more value, but they're kind of still common with, 3-4 million a year put out there. The survival rate's pretty high, but Rob's itching to say something. What you got to say, Rob?
I was going to say, everyone gives them a hard time like they have no value. They do not necessarily have any value. Technically, they don't. But in the world of us $half hunters, we see them. Every year, the Mint puts out their P&D set, and it sells between $5.99 and $9.99. So somebody's paying $3 to $5 a coin when they first are released. Then they get released into circulation. They're not as nice as they were when they were packaged typically. So I can tell right now, I can look at eBay and see NIFCs being sold for about 2 times face value all day long, every day. So typically, they're worth 75 cents to $1 if they're in nice shape, and you can get that. You can expect to get that much for them. That's just what I've seen. I wouldn't say go out there and start stacking NIFCs. Don't do that. They're basically clad coins that had value at one point, and now they're circulating.
Yeah. And, but if you find, like you said, in great condition, making 25 to 50% increase on your investment, you can't do that in most stock market instances. So, it's a give and take, but they have to be really high grade to get that extra bit of cash, guys.
Yeah.
Frogman says, I have a couple LCS that he talked to about getting some coins graded. One said not worth it, and the other one said they would send them in for 25 a coin. And one said it'd be cheaper to send them myself. What are your thoughts?
Without seeing the coins, I couldn't really give you an official thought, but I will say that a lot of coins are not worth grading unless you send them in bulk. PCGS and NGC both have bulk programs for like Morgans. If you send in 100, they'll give you a certain price, like $5 per coin that's 63, $8 for ones that come back 64. And so when you see a lot of these common date Morgan silver dollars that are MS63 or peace dollars, common dates that are MS63, 64, you can almost be guaranteed that they weren't just sent in by themselves, or they weren't sent in, 4 or 5 together. They were sent in a bulk program, because the first LCS is right. Most coins are not worth getting graded. If you were to just grade one coin with the fees right now, you're going to pay $35 plus $8 or $10 for the ticket fee, which is their, just their office fee for the people that process the tickets. Then you're going to pay shipping and insurance both ways. It's a massive amount of money to, if you send off a $70 coin to get graded and you spend $70 to get it graded, what's the point? Now there are some coins, and Rob's probably going to have more to say on this. Now there are some coins where if you send them off, and there's a chance that they go, if it's a 64 that may get a 65, and there's a big jump from 64 to 65. Sometimes it's worth taking the gamble on it too. But I've also personally sent off coins that I could have swore were 64s that come back thinking I might get a 65 and come back at 63. And I can see Rob smiling. Take it away, Rob.
No, I'm the proud victim of being exactly right on what I will get on every submission, even though I know it looks like it's a grade or two higher. As soon as there's a jump, I'm pretty much guaranteed not to look at the jump price, look at the price before that, and that's what I'm going to get. And that's just how they're not going to put that top pop grading at risk of every single submission. It's got to be a no doubter that it is there. If it's a close call, man, it could be a 65, but maybe they'll give it a 64. You're probably getting a 64 or 63. Seeker's right. I mean, don't submit one coin at a time. Don't submit one that's even money after a grade unless you are absolutely certain that it has a chance to get the top pop or one of those jump level grades. And then, of course, it's like anything. Why wouldn't you kind of roll the dice just because? I'll give you an example. I found a 1979D nickel in one of my videos that I published the other day, and I showed it. To me, it's got full steps. 1979D nickel with full steps and MS63 is $26. MS65 is $80. MS66 is $1,500.
Yeah.
Should I submit it? I don't know. It's probably a 64. I'm just being honest. But if I got it at $1,500, that would be a cool find.
So this is all conspiracy speculation, what I'm about to tell you, so just take it with a grain of salt. But I sometimes wonder if they just won't give it that 66 so they can keep that pop low. Because if they grade enough of them at 66, they aren't worth $1,500 anymore.
Yep. Right. Price goes down.
Right. So like,
Sure.
I think it's a 66, but we're going to say it's a 65. Again, all speculation. So I don't actually know that to be the case.
So Treasure Charger says, would you think 1 ounce silver Cougarans are better deal being closer to spot than Eagles or the Mexican Libertads? Go ahead, Seeker. I know you had your top 10 this last year.
Well, yeah, I think anything being closer to spot is your best go right now. I mean, like we said, the reason I think generics are far and away the best thing overall to stack, even though I do like to diversify and get some Brits, maples, things like that, is just because it's the most silver you can get for your money. If you walk into a coin shop with $1,000 and you can get 50 silver rounds, I'm just random numbers here, you can get 50 silver rounds or 45 silver eagles with the same money. You're walking out with 5 more ounces of silver if you get the rounds. And at the end of the day, it's about how much are you stacking, especially when you're like just getting into it. So Brits are really good right now. Maples are pretty good right now. I know actually in the video I just did with Silver Dragons, he had talked about how maples are his go-to for this year. But both of us, and I think a lot of people are, just because the Eagle premiums are so high, we're sticking away from that. But yeah, if Cougarans are low premium like the maples and the Brits, why not? Why not?
This next one's from Trump 2020. Ravenhawk, how much do you think YouTube has impacted the coin community? I honestly think that it has grown the hobby exponentially across the United States, especially in the last couple of years with the pandemic. A lot of people that said they've never collected coins, they started watching YouTube and stumbled onto channels like Rob and Seeker. And, just the sheer size of some of the channels, like Rob's over 100,000, Seeker's over 50,000. You have Bluegrass, I forget his whole name, but Blue Ridge Silverhound has 240,000. $50 make you holler. Just a lot of people have huge channels, and that has quite a reach in itself, so it's grown exponentially. And, we've seen things like Libertads and different coins that used to be, reasonable prices skyrocket. American Silver Eagles, and then Constitutional has gone from 14 times face up to 23, 24, sometimes even as high as 30 times face.
Yeah. I want to point out, this is totally on this topic. Mustang Dave just posted at the Grove Show last year. They were surprised. I'm sure their sales went up too. He's talking about the other dealers, and I think this year is going to be even bigger. But Rob was there. He can attest to this. There was a lot of times where we had crowd, like swaths of people just surrounding our little island of tables where the YouTubers were. And then if you looked over like where the other other dealers were, they're all looking at us like, what is going on over there, with no one around them, no one looking at their tables.
And they would come over to our tables and stare at our cases like, what are you guys selling? That's a big hit. And then we had to tell them, we do YouTube, and so we have a relationship with everyone here. So we're here. It's more of a meet and greet. And by the way, we have some things if you want that. Not here's my stuff. Let me know if you need anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Which that says a lot, when you're able to bring in people and have a crowd around you. You go to, I can tell you, I used to go to a really big coin show in Long Beach, California. Huge coin show, took big, massive, amounts of space. There'd only be one or two people at most tables. You never saw crowds of people. So to see crowds of people is something that really just is indicative of YouTube really making a difference in the hobby itself, growing a community of people that care about one another and support each other the way they do. I mean, I see people all the time, buying each other gifts and giving, in such big ways. And that is something that is really, really awesome, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say something and I lost train of thought, so we'll just keep on going. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it back up.
So Choo Choo Rooter Bean says, why don't you guys start a grading company, or is that even possible?
I mean, it's definitely possible, but it's not something that's realistic.
Yeah,
I mean, you could always, put coins in little slabs and put what you think's on them, but I mean, I think at this point, there's such a stronghold between Annex, NGC, and PCGS. You're never going to do anything. That's why the only grading company to come out that's actually done anything besides PCGS, NGC, and Annex in the last 20 years isn't even a grading company. It's a company that grades coins that are already graded by those grading companies.
How about
the CAC?
The CAC stickers.
They're like, listen, there's no way we're going to be able to make a new grading company. So why don't we just regrade the already graded coins, and
why don't we have
put
a
our
few
little
guys that really know what they really know, put their sticker on it saying, yep, it's that.
Right?
Yeah, we approve what NGC said.
and it's funny because I mean, CAC stickers definitely are starting to show a pretty good premium now, which is insane. But
insane.
Okay.
It's like another thing you got now. If you get an MS66 plus top pop, now you got to think, do I want to get it CAC? Now I got to invest more money to make sure that the 66 plus I got from a professional grading company is actually validated by another company.
You know what we should do? We should get little stickers about this big with a little arrow that says, "Yep, they were right," and then we grade we grade CAC sticker coins.
I will not put it yet.
The graders of CAC. Mount stack more stickers.
Yeah, just put it right on the slab where the arrow points at the CAC sticker and it says, "Yep, they were right." So stupid. Before you know it, it's gonna be like a race car with like 20 different companies on it.
There you go. Yeah,
you can't even see the coin
all over the place. That's funny as heck, man. That is too funny. Let's see here. Plumber Stacker, does your stacking strategy change year to year?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I couldn't give you like a rundown of how that happens, but yeah, I mean, I have definitely made strategy changes based on premiums and spot. The silver squeeze and the premium skyrocketing changed my stacking strategy for sure. You guys, I've done in the past, you've seen me unbox monster boxes of Eagles. I haven't bought one of those in 2 years. Gee, I wonder why. Because premiums are insane. So I just can't do it. I just can't do it. So yeah, absolutely, my strategy has changed. Rob?
I've got nothing to add. I mean,
okay.
At the end of the day, I stack every year, and depending on my stacking changes based on market and the demands within the market. And if I can get silver or gold at a certain time of year for a lot, I will go heavy that. I'll push it for a while there. And if it jumps up, maybe I'm not buying for a little bit. But at the end of the day, mine changes as the market changes, but it stays the same as I want more of it. And at the end of the year, if my year is not made up of me having more than I ended the previous year with, I'm a little sad. I mean, that's my stacking strategy.
How do you submit questions for the panel? You just
right
did.
Here.
Yeah, right there. I just have to see that you have it. And some of the questions we've responded to quite a few times over the last couple streams. So I'm trying to at least get a couple new things in there as well for you guys. to keep it going. Let's see here.
Raven is the one that's got to pick him, so we're just waiting for him to pop him up on the screen.
Yeah,
A lot of stress being the host.
It is, because you don't want to mess up. You don't want to miss a lot of good questions. Silver Swanner, that is one of the reasons why we encourage younger people so much to be a part of, the different channels and being a part of stacking and collecting and whatnot, because without a future generation there, this will just die out eventually, because we all get old, and our kids might not necessarily want to continue it, but hopefully you can foster that with other people that are a little bit younger. But I have seen a change. I go to a shop here and buy cookies from the lady, and the young man that's behind the counter, he's only like 14. His mom owns the cookie shop, and he just loves Seeker's channel, my channel, and Rob's channel. And he started collecting because he watches us. So as long as that keeps proliferating, it'll definitely help the hobby.
One thing I've noticed with coin collecting is, while Silver Swan is right with coin collecting, unfortunately, it is a lot of the older generation. Silver stacking is not. Now, I really think that cryptocurrency has taken a lot of people away from silver and gold stacking, and will they come back? I have no idea. But there's still a lot of young people into silver, like into stacking silver, into precious metals in general. But coin collecting in general, coin collecting is definitely something that I think needs a lot more younger people into it than what there is right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. Bill Gibson says, can you talk about the premiums on poured silver? Speaking of the influence of YouTube, depending on the person that's pouring it, it comes down to now as supply and demand and an artistic value that you're putting on something that's very subjective. It used to be rule of thumb, even the really big YouTubers that did poured silver, it was like $25 an ounce when silver was like $14 an ounce. Now silver's gone up to about 30 an ounce, because of the premiums. It's spots at 24, but you're really paying at least 30 bucks. Yeah. So it should go up accordingly, but you have some that poured silver that are getting thousands of dollars for 1-2 ounce bar, others that are asking for $100 an ounce. And it really comes down to, do you yourself as a collector see the value in it and the art in it, and that you'd want to pay that money? Because when you go back to the shop, unless it's a name like Jaeger poured silver, Monarch Precious Metals, somebody that's really established, you might not get anywhere close to what you paid to that person on YouTube. It's not
even a might not. It's a guarantee, but you're not buying it. Right. Like, you can't. I don't look at poured silver, especially a lot of the stuff you see coming out of Rob and all that. I don't even look at it as a premium. I look at it as you're buying a piece of art. It's a collector piece. You're not buying. You're not paying a premium. You're paying for the art. It just also so happens to be silver, which is, you can look at that however you want. But that's like calling an 1893 S Morgan, that's in VG, that's selling for $4,000. Does that have a $3,980 premium? No, it's a $4,000 coin because it's a collectible piece.
Well, it's like with anything, and I'll give you a quick story before you jump out of this topic. When I was a younger teenager, I took oil painting lessons from a Russian artist called Zoya. And Zoya had some of the most beautiful oil paintings I'd ever seen in my life. She painted from her home. Her husband, Lou, and her sold them sometimes at flea markets for, we're talking, hardly anything. But if you compared Zoya's Russian oil paintings to any of the most famous oil painters in history that you can sell for millions of dollars, you would see no difference. At the end of the day, she's not them. So I think it's what the demand is based on what someone's willing to pay. And sometimes it's unfortunate that some things go for a lot. But at the end of the day, if someone's willing to pay it, if someone wants to spend $4,000 for a Morgan dollar because it's a collectible coin, they're going to spend it. There's nothing you can do about it.
Right. Yeah. And it's the artistic value that's in it. There's an intrinsic value that it's hard to gauge sometimes. And there are some artists that get to pull a premium that other artists don't, even though it's the same quality. You have a name, it's Cadillac versus Pro Wing, it really depends. Keep in mind, if
I buy silver at $28 an ounce for the premium, and I put it in the melter, and I spend time to melt it, stamp it, pour it, take the time to ship it out, cover all. I mean, there are other fees than walking into a place and buying generic silver. If you're trying to stack, don't buy poured silver. If you want a piece of art and you want to support somebody who's working hard to make it, then buy it. But,
one last thing I'll say on that, and then we'll move on. I know I see negative comments from people about how high, and I don't pour silver. I've never poured silver. I never have once, but I see it on other channels, and I'll see negative comments about how high, something went for at auction. Keep in mind, it's an auction. Like, if people want to pay it, they will choose to do so. And if they don't, they won't. Like, that's the whole thing of an auction. I've never seen Rob start a piece of poured silver for anything that's not reasonable. When people want to bid it up and to support Rob at the same time, and they get something really cool to do so, that's awesome. But they're choosing to do so. It's not like Rob saying, hey, look at this. I poured this 1 ounce silver bar and I want $250 an ounce for it. Period. End of story. You don't get it if you don't pay me that. That's not how he does it. He puts it up there. He starts it at a very reasonable price, and then people bid it up, and they choose to do so. And that's supporting the channel and collecting at the same time. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and there's never going to be a heritage auction where something that was estimated at $5,000 is now at $9,000, and they're like, nope, stop. We can't let it go higher.
Right.
That's not the world we live in. I have stopped auctions that have gotten a little bit out of control, probably wrongfully, but I'm also a person that wants to make sure everyone is enjoying themselves properly.
The problem with stopping an auction when people are still bidding is now you are choosing who wins.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
No, it's people's choice. It is really,
you can't say, oh, it's at 120, you win. I'm not going to let it go any higher. You had it at 120, you got it. And then there's the other person like, well, I really wanted it. I would have paid 125. How is it right for the person who started the auction to choose, choose the winner of an auction? It just doesn't make any sense. The only issue I will ever have with anything that's going higher than people think it should go for is when something's been misrepresented. So, I've done videos in the past on HSN, and you have Mike Mazak on there, and he's literally talking up this coin like it's some amazing coin that you're never going to be able to find anywhere, and it's worth $1 million, and it's really rare because it was out of the first 20 boxes, and that's a special that's misrepresenting what's actually there, and he's doing so to get people to pay more by talking it up. I've never seen that happen on any of the channels that I've ever watched, whether it be Rob, Silver Dragons, because I just did a collab with him. We were talking about that. Raven's never done that. I've never done that. I've never seen any of the people in the community do that. If I saw somebody do that, I would have a problem with it, but I just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
No.
Definitely. To answer Westside real quick, buddy, when you do a single submission, it's expensive. If you can afford the more premium membership package with PCGS or NGC, you get a certain amount for free, which really, if you do the math, it kind of pays for itself, because if you try to submit one coin at a time, it can get really, really pricey. And you know what? We're 3 minutes over the hour here. I'm going to do one last question. Yeah, it went fast tonight. Says, have you had any experience or any pushback on Canadian silver, somewhat like Chinese pandas as of late? Myself, not personally. And I did not know there's been a pushback on Chinese pandas. Have you guys heard anything about that?
When I did my video last year where I did like the tier ranking of like 15 or so silver coins, I had put pandas pretty high up in the tier, but I straight up said in the video, I am not basing this on politics, because obviously politics issues in China. I said, this is just straight based on the coin, the premium, the expected return on premium, and how beautiful it is. And even though I specifically said that, I said it exactly like that before I ranked that panda, I still got ripped for it, for ranking it so high. And there were people that just couldn't get over the fact that even though I specifically said I'm only basing it on beauty, return on premium, what the premiums are, I'm not basing it on any sort of political thing, not anything that's going on in the world or going on in China, just on these factors, people still tore into me for ranking it as high as I did. Like, I literally, that's probably one of the most the largest amount of negative comments I've ever had on a video was that one, to the point where I had to actually ban a couple people from the channel. I had to remove comments because they weren't just being, I disagree. They were nasty about it.
Yeah.
Like, nasty about it. Like, calling me things I'm not going to say on your channel. Like, it was So
Well,
I don't know.
and I think that's kind of strange because honestly, I don't get a lot of silver pandas for auction, but I do get them from time to time because they always have a really nice premium. There's a lot of people that love Chinese pandas, like Mia's Coins. She goes crazy for them, and they always sell. So it's kind of a strange thing when you're bringing, like you said, politics into something that honestly, this isn't a realm for politics. This is strictly just the beauty of the coin for itself, appreciating it for what it looks like. That's just mind blowing, bro.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'd never experienced, like, any of my videos. I'd never experienced anything like that. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it, but it happened. I didn't pull the video or anything, but I was called a few different words.
The majority like the video, and that you cater to the majority. And I don't like the word or the use cater to the majority, but you create for yourself. You hope the majority like it, and if that's the case, that's what you do.
And that is what happened. The majority. I mean, it started off with a lot of dislikes, but the ratio ended up going up over time. And I didn't respond to any of the comments that were super nasty. I just deleted them and moved on. But I don't usually delete comments on my channel unless they're directly attacking someone or they're saying something derogatory, things that shouldn't be said. Like if someone just says, I don't really like pandas, I think that should be enough. Sure. I'm happy to leave that comment on. That's fine. But when you're literally like, I was called a communist by one person. I mean,
yeah.
It's like,
that's
delete.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Sometimes you know how it is. You can't please everybody, even though we try our hardest. Right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, it has come to that time in the show where we need to wrap things up, and we actually kind of went a little bit longer than we normally do. I know Rob is probably being told, "Hey, time for dinner. Come on, let's go." But let's leave us with some final thoughts. Rob, my brother, what you got to say, my friend?
I really appreciate everyone's support through the last 4+ years I've been on YouTube on this journey. You guys have been awesome. I really appreciate and enjoy the time I spent with my brothers, Ravenhawk and Seeker, every single Monday. Sometimes I'm in the middle of something and I'm like, oh, we got to do it tonight. I got to get ready for it. Dang it. But then it's like anything. Once we get on here, I'm like, why isn't this every week? Not that it will be. Yep. But I enjoy you guys very much. And I love the extra interaction every other week with the community because other than my streams on Wednesday and Friday, I'm pretty much just a guy with boxes of coins getting excited by myself and the camera. So anyway, this is a lot of fun for me to see all the reactions. And by the way, I enjoy the tough questions. So be thinking about the next set of questions for the next 2-week chat on Seeker's channel. He likes when there's a lot of tough questions and live as well. So
yeah, absolutely. I don't have a problem with that. I'm happy to answer them live.
Anyway, love you guys. Thank you very much.
Brother Seeker, what you got to say?
Just want to say a lot of what Rob said. Just thank you guys so much. I can't believe. Are you sure it's only been an hour? Like this always goes so fast.
It went super fast.
But no, seriously, thank you guys for being here. Like Rob said, for supporting me and Raven and Rob over the years. None of us could do this without your guys' support. So thank you so very much for everything. And I look forward to seeing you guys live on my channel in 2 weeks on Monday.
Awesome. And yeah, same sentiment. It's always awesome to be able to sit here and talk with two close friends of mine, Rob and Seeker, and really looking forward to the Grove show and getting to meet a lot of people face to face. And like these two gentlemen said, we can't do this without your support. And we truly, truly appreciate every single one of you. All right. With that said, Ravenhawk Coins, have a great day.